All right, happy Wednesday, beautiful people. Let's get into it. We'll start. We'll start with oil. We're on oil at the moment, so let's maintain weekly open. There it is. We are officially bearish now. So yeah, that was our market structure low on the hourly, which we've initially SFP'd and then we've closed below there. So we are now bearish on the hourly. Boom. And we can draw this as a range, 100%. Boom. Yes, it is a counter context range, but it's a potential counter context move, but we'll obviously see how the confirmations look. That's the best thing we can do, and we've got the weekly open below as well, which is also a good target, and more often than not does get taken out. From a more local perspective, we do have this as demand. Just an FYI there. Yes, it is connected to the range low, but it's quite a big demand POI, so that's why it is getting charted on our chart. Asia low has Asia high and low intact still, just an FYI. Yep. Oh, yes. So yeah, so that is our Asia session. Decent sell side liquidity forming. Yeah, we just gotta wait and be patient here. Wait and be patient. Beautiful mitigation of this supply. Yeah, that is it for the time being for oil. So let's see what else we've got here. Silver. Well, we are still bullish. And we've got this range here with a demand POI here. And yeah, overall, we are still bullish. So once again, just be mindful. Should we get a distribution model here, then I need this demand to get mitigated first before we get the third tap confirmation. And we get something like this with this lovely return to zone. Should we get it? That is, yeah, that's silver for you. yeah, look, it's a good POI that we could reject from, but the fact that we've kind of already moved so deep into it makes me think that we're probably not going to reject and we're going to continue going higher for now. So that's just something to be aware of. Yeah, so far, beautiful, beautiful sell side liquidity below us. So that's why I do kind of like this range, which is in development. So yeah, we just got to see. Hopefully we can get those mitigations first and then we can get the confirmations. All right, let's look at gold. Yeah, we are very much disrespecting supply. Are we still bullish on the hourly? Yes, we are. Yeah, this supply POI is of no interest to me. Given we have really nicely respected this fairly large supply POI, I can look at this as a potential range, which will obviously need a lot more time to develop. It's like that. So that's also, once again, it's counter context, which I don't like, but if we obviously get the clean confirmations, then I'm willing to risk 0.5% on it. But from a long perspective at the moment, there's just nothing really. We've got the demand below, which is here, but obviously price isn't really looking to go there just yet by the looks of it. So all we can do is be patient. All right. So we got 3 potential distributions on our 3 commodity pairs: oil, silver, and gold. But yeah, like even with gold, the fact that it's pumped up so much out of that expansion, we can expect it to obviously reject from this and slowly move back down. So a distribution here isn't a bad call. All right, let's go to GBP JPY. I'm seeing something nice develop here. I honestly don't mind this, but I feel like we need to come back down in this range. We've got something here as well. I'll monitor this for now, see what happens. If the price action here does start to look like a nicer range, then obviously I will potentially look to take a distribution. Yeah, 4 hours, I don't mind it. Maybe we can get a confirmation around the 7-hour mark. So we'll see. But yeah, for now we're still bullish on the hourly, and then on the 4 we are still bearish. So yeah, we've got some interesting price action here, but let's just stay disciplined and see what confirmations we get. But yeah, if I do like the price action here, then I'm going to start looking at this range, and I will disregard this higher time frame range altogether, as this is what will be my main focus for a distribution. And then I will, yeah, we're thinking too far ahead, but here it would be dependent on how the, yeah, I'll probably just take a full take profit. This would just be a local scalp, nothing more, nothing less. Play it safe. But yeah, let's see what price does. Or if anything, target the Asia low, which would probably be a decent idea. And then yeah, we do have the Asia high here. Boom. All right, USD JPY. Pretty confident that we would be bullish on the hourly, maybe not. Yes, we are very much so bullish. This is my range of focus. From a volume inefficiency perspective, you can already tell it's pretty good, but we are leaving behind some nice buy side liquidity right here. So you can expect all this to get taken out eventually by something like this. Boom. And maybe if we're lucky, we can get a short there. But let's see for now. In terms of demand as well, that has been mitigated. Yeah, it's a mitigation. Valid mitigation. Could this be a valid OB? I will allow this as being a valid block just because it was clean on the 30. We'll leave it for now. I've done this before. I'm just going to make it less transparent, just because we know it is there. And this is what I mean. At times you do have a little bit of subjectivity in here. Someone might think this isn't valid at all, whereas I think it is borderline valid because it's a clean block on the 30-minute, but then obviously it's just been mitigated on the 1 minute, as we've seen earlier. So that's why I make it a little less transparent. Yeah. For now. Yeah, and then with Asia low being where it is, then yeah, this block's probably not going to stand. And then are we still bearish on the 2 hour? Yes, we are. Yes, overall, this could be an okay okay short to take. Obviously we're not far from confirmation, but this would be your extreme liquidity. So I need this to get taken regardless. If this doesn't get taken, then no trade, plain and simple. Yeah, let's see what happens here, but I do need a better return to zone for now. So if we can get something like this, that would be nice. But if we don't, there's no real return to zone here. We just have a inefficient range. Yeah, there's our volume profile. So yeah, let's see what USD JPY does. And then yeah, GBP JPY as well. NZD CAD. We're continuing lower. And then yeah, we're in this high time frame distribution model with a lot of demand below. So it's good to see that we're starting to mitigate this demand. You could look to accumulate from a local perspective here, but no accumulative price action so far. So yeah, nothing has really changed for now. So we will leave NZD CAD as is, with the focus being this higher time frame distributive range. USD CHF. I do want to focus on this. We might not necessarily get the confirmation that we want, but I do like the price action, especially given the POI that this supply POI has been perfectly respected. It was yeah. You can say it's an extended model with your tab 1, tab 2, tab 3 here. And then we've obviously grabbed the extreme liquidity of the range low as well. So, but that doesn't mean that we still can't move down. Like, look how beautiful the sell side liquidity has been here. So we can definitely expect to go all the way down. I wouldn't short here just because I want to short off a model, which we have not yet got. I do fancy a short here, but I need better price action personally. Like, he technically had a very small distribution model here. This would be extreme liquidity for me. I don't like that we're moving up quite aggressively and leaving demand in the process. And it's also not really in our session open. Oh, actually you can say it is, because it was created during London. So yeah, this demand POI has been ever so slightly mitigated. And then yeah, looking at the lower time frame even here as well, we got some demand. So yeah, I don't like how there's just no return to zone in this final bit. But once again, if we happen to get a convincing break, we get something like this, boom, closing very deep into this demand POI, then I'm happy to look at potentially entering, especially if we've created supply in the meantime. So a little supply to a demand to supply switch. But for now, I'm just being very cautious to see how price develops. Because yeah, like realistically speaking, the return to zone's kind of only from like here to here, but then the actual range doesn't really have much of a return to zone as much as it has a volume inefficiency, which can be seen quite clearly. It doesn't really have much of a return to zone, so that's also something to be fair. These lows here are nice. Yeah, I don't mind these lows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bang, 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 bang. But yeah, let's give this a little bit more time and see what price does. But yeah, like for now, context is still bearish, so the bearish context is on our side. Yeah, I do feel like we're gonna go higher. We'll move on. Obviously, we've already looked at NZD CAD. AUD CAD has failed the demand. No value structure here, so we are still bearish on the hourly. And then yeah, on the 4 we are bullish because we've SFP'd that. Yeah, not a whole lot to work from. If we can get this deviation, then yeah, for sure we can now look at a distribution model, but we have not got the deviation just yet. And there's USD CHF grabbing that extreme liquidity. Yeah, I'll leave this for now for for AD CAD, there's just not much for me to really work from. Yeah, this is going to continue going higher. It's way too expansive. This is our 2-minute low. All right, let's look at GBP USD. Yeah, still very much so bullish. Still bullish on the hourly, still bullish on the 4. The daily. Yeah, let's focus on this higher time frame range as we have spoken about. The one thing that I will look at is I don't mind the price action here from a much more local perspective. And I do like how it's kind of a slow climb for now. So yeah, let's see what price does. There's a few ranges to look at, to be honest. Once again, trading confirmations, nothing more. Asia low is nicely here. Yeah, we'll monitor this range and see what happens. That's all that can be done for now. And if you want to go one step further, you can even do this. Like, how's this for ranges inside of ranges inside of ranges? The one thing I don't like about this range is it's kind of spend too much, like it's kind of spend time everywhere, but, and yeah, and there's no real return to zone for now. But there's also no demand, so that's also a good thing. So let's see what happens. All right, that is GBP USD. AUD USD. Yeah, still bullish. Still focused on this high time frame range, which is a high time frame distributive range. At the moment, I don't mind a potential accumulation here, but it's just too V-shaped price action for me. Asia high is range high, which isn't a bad thing. But yeah, we've set our alert, so let's see how price develops. Not a whole lot more to do. And yeah, just remember the daily is bearish. So and the weekly is bullish. Could we get something like this? Maybe. Or we'll just have to wait and see. Euro NZD moving towards deviation one of this high time frame range, so that will be left as is. Yeah, all that's kind of been mitigated. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot more for me to do here. We'll leave that as is. We'll monitor this price action for now. I like this context of a low time frame accumulative scalp. We've left behind some nice buy side as well, so can definitely look to long here. USD CAD. You know what, we'll move this to, yeah, we'll move it a little bit higher. Well, this has been mitigated, but let's see to what extent. Because I will allow this. If we can get a good return to zone coming back in here, something like that. Then I wouldn't mind longing, given we get a good expansion. Nice expansive move. But yeah, for now we are still bearish on the hourly, still bearish on the 4. We are bullish on the daily. Don't think this is as big of a range as I'd like it to be. Not quite. This favors the low time frame context. Well, there's no real supply POI or extreme liquidity POI, so I kind of favor a model 1 here. So if we can get a model 1, I would be willing to look at a potential short there. So we will see. GBP AUD, I still like this range quite a bit, so we will still focus on it. Yeah, 51 bars to 28 bars, so let's see what happens. So far, I don't need a local model here. If I can get a convincing break of structure, then I'm happy to short this. Move that. We'll move it to the top for now. Euro GBP. Still fairly bearish. And we're still SFPing this, so we're still bullish for now on the 4 hour. That's our 4 hour low. I will leave this as is. Yeah, although, you know what, I'm not going to focus on this because there's just no real clean POI. Price has no reason to accumulate right here. There's no demand POI. You got the weekly up and right below, which is a really good target that price normally wants to come back to. So I will not use this range as a distraction to try and long what should not be longed. We'll move on. GBP and ZD. Push through supply. Yeah, so far we're just still bullish here. Yeah, as you can see, this has all been mitigated, so there's no real clean demand POI. Yeah, just not a whole lot to do for GBP and ZT at the moment. It is expanding like crazy. AUD, CHF. I wouldn't be using this as a local model in case you're wondering, just because of how expansive this candle has been. Like, yes, it did get created during London, but yeah, no return to zone whatsoever. So I would not be risking a short here. That is the 1 minute low. I'll have a look at it, but too much room for error in this model. Zero. There's no real demand, but there's also zero return to zone. So yeah, then you kind of have this as demand. And if you look on a higher time frame, then you don't really have much of a wick here as well, indicating the price will most likely continue going higher. And there you go, voila. Yeah, and only the weekly is bullish. Only the weekly is bearish. Sorry, everything else is still very much so bullish. So don't try and rush. Yeah, to summarize, so we've obviously got our 3 commodity pairs, which we're looking at distributions, all in the process of being created. Fairly semi-counter, kind of all of them are. So we're going to need some of these demand POIs to get mitigated. And then in Forex, this is probably the most interesting one for today, GBP AUD. We might even get a confirmation today. All demand POIs have been mitigated, as can be seen. Asia low is below us. Should have marked that one before. But yeah, I kind of like what I'm seeing here. I really, really do. And then we've got this slightly lower time frame range on GBP JPY, which we are monitoring. Regardless, this isn't much of a range anymore, the higher time frame one, so we'll leave that as is. And then USD CAD. as I said, I need a model 1 to happen here. If we do get the mitigation here, pretty reluctant to enter. It's kind of counter context. We're quite bearish in the lower time frame, so I'll be very reluctant to enter this. Like, I would need price to come a lot higher in here, maybe break structure somewhere here and then slowly come back down for that final POI, maybe sometime tomorrow, essentially, even or Friday. But if we move back down right now and get the tap, then I'm not looking too long here. It's just way too close to each other, and I need a bit more of a displacement, creating that return to zone on the slightly higher time frame that would make me confident in entering USD JPY as well. We need demand mitigation first, preferably. Not necessarily, we spoke about earlier, the demand was quite not the most powerful demand. It just has been mitigated on the lower time frame. And then we have that extreme liquidity POI there, which has been marked out. So you know what, I'll actually move that a bit higher up. And then we do have USD CHF, which isn't not really much of an interest anymore to me. We have continued to go higher. All right. Technically, we have created a model 1, but the demand that has been created in the meantime is just and it's ongoing, like demand. Yeah, you would be silly to try and short this. You really would. Yeah, this range is less and less enticing for me. Then I will still allow a potential scalp here, which we've spoken about. With this being the extreme liquidity. So yeah, honestly there's a lot of things that can play out today. So we'll just have to be patient and see what happens. USD CAD as well, which we've spoken about, and that needs to be model 1. And then everything else, we're just kind of playing the waiting game. We got some slightly higher time frame models in the works. So yeah, let's see what happens. But in terms of getting confirmation, you know, we'll push Euro NZD up a little bit. In terms of the ones that we might be getting confirmations on today, I'll be keeping a close eye out on GBP AUD, USD JPY, GBP USD as well, and USD CAD as well for now. But I feel like it's going to get, I feel like price is going to is this failed supply? Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a confirmation here. I feel like we're going to continue going lower. All right, that's it. Yeah, this is the model one easy. All right, thank you all for listening, for viewing, subscribe if you have made it this far, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.